Welcome to Capitol Spotlight. My name is Dave Barber. We're coming to you this day from the East Gallery of the Rhode Island House of Representatives. We like to take a couple of minutes and talk to some members of the House and find out a little bit more about them and some of the things they're working on. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome a gentleman that is making his first appearance on Capitol Television. We're certainly glad to have him, the Honorable State Representative Blake Filippi. Representative, great to see you.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
And welcome to the state capitol, because you are new. You're a freshman legislator. Let me just ask you first and foremost, how's it going so far?
It's the most fascinating thing I've ever been involved with.
Now, how did you manage to run for office? Tell me about your roadway or path to the General Assembly.
Wow. Okay, so I've worked for different organizations throughout the country that advocate for civil liberties, and I've testified in front of a bunch of state legislatures about passing bills to protect our individual rights, and I decided that I wanted to be on this side of the rostrum and make a difference from within.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's certainly a noble position to take, and I'm curious, have you ever held elective office before?
No, I never have.
Well, listen, you aimed pretty high, and that's pretty good. Your first time out of the blocks, you win, and that's certainly pretty exciting. You've mentioned your work as a civil libertarian and on various groups in our state. Give us a little background about you personally and professionally. Tell us about your background.
Certainly. I'm from Block Island, Rhode Island. I am an organic cattle farmer, practicing attorney, and a restaurant owner as well.
Well, and let me tell you something. I've got to admit, selfishly, I've been to the restaurant, and I found Rhode Island by vacationing for 5 summers. I lived in Michigan before I moved here, and I stayed on Block Island and absolutely fell in love with it. It's one of the great places, not only in Rhode Island, but certainly in the world.
Glad to have you with us.
Well, and I also like it, too, because you can sit on your beach and they'll actually bring you your refreshments right there at your lounge chair, which I always thought, because you own Ballards, right?
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it's just an absolutely amazing place. And to be able to represent that community, it's got to be a charmed life.
Not just Block Island. I also represent Charlestown, Westerly, and South Kingstown, and I think the 4 towns are some of the most beautiful ones in this entire state.
Exactly. I was going to mention about a couple of nights I spent at the Yellow Kittens, but I won't get into that now. Listen, you have also been very busy with some legislation that will help reduce Rhode Islanders' utility bill. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So if you look at the recent national grid rate increase, it's a $77 million rate increase over the next year. And the state stands to make approximately $6 million in additional tax receipts because of that $77 million increase, the 4% gross receipt tax and the business sales tax. So the bill I have actually freezes the state tax revenues as of December 31st, 2014, so the state will not gain any additional tax receipts because of this national grid rate increase or any other subsequent rate increases due to the price of power going up or deep water wind or the distributed generation program.
Well, that's really good, because that will bode well for futures for utility users, because it will freeze the money that they're going to pay and won't allow that to increase with the taxation. So that's a win-win.
I think it is. Power in this region is high. We're trying to attract businesses here. We have to reduce it any way we can, and I think this is an important first step.
And obviously, representing Block Island, you folks pay some of the highest amounts of money for energy and power there on the island. And New Shoreham, if you're going to live there and work there and own a business there, it can be very pricey, as you might expect with an island. Tell me,
second highest power rates in the country.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew it was high, but I didn't know it was second. Now, since you're new and you're having a good experience, what committees has the Speaker assigned you to?
He assigned me to the Committee on Judiciary, Environment and Natural Resources, and Municipal Government. And all 3 are wonderful.
Well, and the first 2 I would think would be a perfect fit for you by virtue of your professional training and, the area in which you represent. As you mentioned, it's really God's country. And Representative, I want to take this opportunity to wish you the very best in the House of Representatives. Thanks for taking time to speak with us, and I'll see you on the July 4th weekend.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, we could not do it without you. Thank you so much for watching. For Capitol Television, I'm Dave Barber.